Welcome to the Business Development Podcast, brought to you by the Global Business Development Association, delivering the strategies and tactics to boost your career and corporate growth.
Hello, BD pros, and welcome to the Global Business Development Association podcast called What is Business Development? Now, folks, wouldn't you like to know how to build a $30 million ARR company, annual recurring revenue of $30 million with just 3 founders and a bunch of AI agents? Yeah, I bet you would like to learn how to do that. And today you're going to hear the story of how one startup founder is doing that today. He's building it in public on LinkedIn. You can follow his work and see how his company is doing this in real life. And there are incredible implications for how this will impact the business development profession. And if you want to learn more about the business development profession, then grab yourself a copy of the Business Development Body of Knowledge. It's available on Amazon. And once you read the book, then you can take your business development professional certification exam at the Global Business Development Association website at gbdassociation.org. Okay, folks, I bet you're wondering how you can also start to learn about building a business that's based on AI agents that are extremely powerful. We're hearing a lot about this in news, and it will fundamentally change our profession. And our guest today is Amos Bar-Joseph, and he's the CEO and co-founder of Swan AI, where they're building the future of go-to-market with AI agents that identify leads showing high intent. They qualify those leads and they scale personalized outreach on LinkedIn. I can't wait to have Amos join us on the show, folks. This is going to be really exciting. Amos, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me, Tony. That was an amazing introduction. I wish I had someone like you with every social gathering just introducing me.
Hey, I'm happy to be your front man anytime you need, Amos. What you guys are doing with your company, I've been avidly reading your posts, following along. It's really exciting. You're very open about the successes, the challenges you're experiencing. It's a real nail biter, and it's a view into the future of where I think business growth writ large is going, but business development as a profession is growing. So, can you tell the folks, why did you start the business?
Yeah, so Swan is not my first rodeo. I've actually built and scaled 2 B2B startups in the customer communication space. And both of them were based on the old unicorn model, the old growth at all costs model, where you raise a ton of money before you even know who you're selling to, and you bring in 20 sellers before you got to your first $1 million in revenue. And every round you try to increase your total addressable market and division, but not really the pipeline. And you just try to roll the bluff from one round to another. And sooner or later you understand you've built your entire foundation on kind of like a very sick foundation, right? And so I felt like when starting my third company, it's time to reinvent how do we scale a business from 0 to 1, from 1 to 10, kind of like, the early stages. And I've realized that the business development and the scaling a business playbook hasn't really changed for the last 15 years. And together with this notion of AI agents, I felt like, yeah, this is our time to reinvent the playbook. And we set out to build Swan, just the 3 founders. And we said to ourselves, you know what, we're going to put a constraint. We're not going to hire any more people. We have everything we need to run this business in terms of the skill set. Let's try to scale with intelligence, not with headcount in that sense. And we'll try to amplify ourselves and to scale ourselves with using AI agents. And so here we are today.
Yeah, well, as they say, constraint is the mother of innovation. And you folks are really innovating with artificial intelligence and more particularly agents. And I know a lot of folks are eager to have agents help them scale their business development functions. So can you kind of walk us through how you're actually doing that with Swan AI?
Yeah, so First of all, our philosophy is that we're not using AI to replace employees, or it's not like we ask ourselves, should we hire an SDR or a BDR? No, let's build an AI agent instead. It's not really about that. And I think that after the first wave of AI startups, we've learned the hard way that this is not really working well, this type of approach. And what we're doing at Swan, which is different, is we asking ourselves, how can we turn each employee on the team into their 100x version of themselves, basically. So what we're looking into is how do we turn the engineer into the 100x engineer, the product into the 100x product, and the third person on the team, which is me, the go-to-market person, how do we turn Amos into a 100x seller? And so I'm a single person go-to-market department. I operate at enterprise scale, but at startup speed. And what we did is that we've built our entire AI agent army around me. I'm at the center of that, basically. What we're trying to do is that we're aiming so I can spend most of my time in my zone of genius, that area where my passion and skills intersect to create disproportionate value to the company. So that's what's outside of the zone of genius, AI agents can automate. And what's inside the zone of genius, my AI agents help amplify. And I think that every seller out there has their own zone of genius. Some folks are really good at at the phone. They can cold call the entire day and know exactly what to say and handle objections. Some folks have their social selling game. They're good at LinkedIn. We're hacking emails. Everyone has their own unique strength. And what we're seeing with AI is just enables you to focus on your strength and amplify that and takes care of what's the mundane and what's outside of that. And so my zone of genius is actually storytelling. I love telling stories, if you noticed already. And I write good content on LinkedIn. I tell the story of building the first autonomous business, which is Swan. And what we did is that we used Swan actually to build an army of AI agents around me, so that I'm writing the post, but Swan is monitoring the engagement of that post and basically identifying hot leads who are engaging with my posts, qualifying, researching them, and recommending me who should I focus my resources on. And then after someone engages with my post, they might send me a connection request. So Swan can go over my connection requests and do, again, this filtering and recommendation process, and can engage sometimes on its own. If I feel like this is low intent, I can let Swan off the leash and engage with a conversation. But again, if their conversation starts, it pulls me in, right? So it's always what I'm thinking about is, where is my attention needed? What's my zone of genius? Where do I want to spend my time? And then how do we build an army of AI agents around that so I can stay in that zone all day long and just close pipeline?
Yeah, wow. You're painting a picture that I think every business developer aspires to achieve here as soon as possible. Operating within our zone of genius as business developers, and then delegating the rest to AI agents that can handle those actions that allow us to scale as an individual human. So many people are saying, oh, AI agents are out here now. BDRs are going to go away. Business developers are go away. And I'll tell you, folks, look, the past 6 years on LinkedIn, every year they do a survey of the top 20 or the top list of fastest growing job roles. Business development has been on that list. It was just on the list last week. I posted about it. So business development is growing, which is contrary to the concept that people think, oh, it's going to go away. There are 33 million of us in the world, according to LinkedIn. So, and we're just growing. I think this is going to allow us to grow even more. Particularly growing our portfolios, growing our businesses. Now, Amos, you're going to have to level with me. Am I talking to the real Amos, or am I talking to Amos AI agent right now?
The real answer, sorry, the real answer for that, Tony, is that I'm so symbiotic with my AI agents that you can't really tell whether it's me, whether it's my AI agents. We act as one.
That's a great answer. I think that sounds like an AI generated answer. So I'm a little suspicious, but who cares? I'm enjoying the conversation. You're telling us everything we need. Hey, and even if you're on camera right now, I'm sure your AI agents are busily doing work for you as we talk. So can you kind of like walk us through some use case scenarios? Like give us like a day in the life of using Swan AI. You roll into the office. How do folks use it? How do you access it, engage with it?
Yeah, I think the main change that we're experiencing is that business development was used to be like a proactive profession, the sense that you needed to think and proactively research and tell which type of account should I go after, and you were kind of like the first mover, and the buyer was like the second mover in that sense, and usually the second movement was crickets, right? Um, and what AI changes is that you're the second mover most of the times. Basically, AI could be the first mover in the sense that it can help you prioritize. It can help you perform already the research. You never look at an empty slate. You start with either a list of prioritized accounts with recommendations, or maybe a buyer that raised their hand, and you want to engage with them specifically. So you have kind of like your own BDR at that sense that is working for you and can help do some of the work so that you really focus on the most strategic tasks. And I feel like that's the most fundamental change that I've seen in the business development world. And when I open my day, so I have some of notifications from Swan waiting for me, telling me that a hot lead has visited the website 3 times this week, and it's in my ICP. Here's the entire buying committee. Here's a draft that I think you should send to that specific lead, and then I review that. And sometimes I have a nuance that I've identified that they do something similar to what we do in some way, and so I'm able to kind of like influence that outreach. Or maybe I can say, you know what, I see that in the buying committee here we have another person that is interesting. Let's multi-thread here. And so I'm taking more of the strategic approach here, and I can focus more on the craft itself rather than the dirty execution. And I think business development is an amazing profession, but it has this grind to it, right? Which is super hard. And I feel like AI takes a lot of that grind and really enables you to just focus on strategy, on on these nuances, on how to break into an account, how to work a specific prospect, and really how to create a personalized buyer journey to each person. And that's what's really amazing.
Yeah, this is really powerful here, what you're talking about. And for folks that are just getting into the business development profession, maybe you're learning about it for the first time. This is kind of at the PhD level. So if you're just kind of holding on and trying to keep up with the discussion here, what you're saying, Amos, is that what the system allows you to do, just at its basic entry level perspective, is do a lot of that research, that market research, to first of all identify the signals that come in, whether it's a website hit, maybe it's on LinkedIn conversation. It's monitoring all those signals, which you would probably need a few humans to do at scale, based on what these AI agents are doing, is constantly monitoring. And of course, that's open to human error as well, where you're missing signals and whatnot. So you're getting a lot of these signals coming in that provide a level of intent. And so these are intent signals. They're not confirmed, they're not declared intent, but they're strong signals that are coming in. The AI can process that and kind of start to indicate to you, probably on a scale, right? Like, this is high intent, here's the reason why. Or this is low intent, we got some tremors, not probably worth engaging yet. At the same time, the system understands your ICP, your ideal customer profile. And so it's correlating those signals, those intent signals, with your ICP, right? So if it's an excellent fit, high intent, you're getting the alarm bells from the AI saying, Amos, call now, engage, right? Whereas if it's low signals, low ICP fit, what happens in that situation? Do you have some automations where the AI just kind of handles those and processes them, or what goes on there?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it leads us to why do we need business development people in the world to answer these questions? Who should answer these questions? And it's very contextual, and every business will have different answers, and every different business development people will have different answers to that. What we have that is unique is that because I do storytelling on LinkedIn, and we have such a powerful content machine, for me, if there's low intent, I don't need to pursue, I just need to get them into my orbit. So my motivation is just send them a connection request, maybe a conversation starter, super lightweight, but just get them into my content orbit so they can continue interacting with me. And that's what works for Swan and for Amesbar Joseph, but for a different team, something else would work. And that's not the job of AI to figure it out. That's the job of the business development team to figure it out. That's the strategy perspective. And that would always be the case here. And I think that's where you should start up leveling your game is, instead of focusing on only about the execution itself, try to up level your game and think about the strategies, think about the best practices, think about what's good for your specific buyers and for your company's DNA. Every go-to-market organization has a different DNA, which means it needs to use AI differently.
Yeah, really, really interesting how you're talking about, so those low signal, low intent signal, low ICP fit, you're not throwing those away, you're not ignoring those, you're nurturing those to determine, are there more intent signals that can follow up? Or are they evolving to the point where maybe they were at a company that was a low ICP fit, they just moved to a new company, they've been a big fan of yours, they've been engaging, high signal, high signal, high signal. Now they're in a position where they're a solid ICP fit, and that triggers then to take it to the next level, which is hugely powerful for you as the human to then know to engage. So, okay, we're still in the brand activation phase. We're still in the prospecting phase, right? We're nurturing and whatnot. Okay, let's say now you're engaging and you're reaching out as the human. How are you using the AI agent to support your efforts where you're doing the human engagement with them, right? They're high ICP, they're high intent. You just need to move them into conversion phase.
Yeah, so two things have changed. I think one from the technology perspective, the other one is from the buyer's perspective, actually. From the buyer perspective, buyers are more reluctant to go on calls today. More of the buyer journey is kind of before the sales meeting itself, and they want to figure out more stuff on their own. And so you basically need to approach things differently. It's not like, boom, let's hit it, let's just jump on a call, give me 45 minutes of your time. Buyers don't want to do that today. So you need to think about how you can start a conversation. Maybe if they raise a hand, maybe they still don't want to meet. Maybe they just have a question. So my approach is I try to warm up the conversation initially, and I don't try to get them into a call. And the way to warm up a conversation is by doing two things. A, you want to make them feel like they are well understood and you are well prepared. So you need to understand their business and their problems and their challenges. And so AI is really good at that. And then two, personalization is not enough today. You got to be relevant. So relevancy is 10x better than personalization. What does that mean? Is that you can use AI to understand their business and then figure it out. How is your value proposition relevant to their top priorities and biggest challenges right now? And that's where the magic lies. And that's a very, human thing to do, to connect all these dots and really understand what will be the biggest persuasion here. How could I connect the dots so I can be super relevant to the buyer that is standing in front of me?
Yeah, and I bet as you're engaging with that prospect, the AI is probably kind of observing, taking notes, recording everything, and probably helping you identify next best actions to help continue nurture them or convert that prospect into a client. Now, Amos, really important question here. Please tell me you don't have to update any kind of CRM anymore when you use Swan AI, right? Please.
Yeah, so it's actually much more than that. So not only that Swan, of course, can update the CRM and can help me, prep me for calls and then, conduct all the follow-up actions that I need after the call. That's one thing. But what I think is more powerful is that Swan already has context about the buyer journey, in the sense that if the buyer is still in awareness and I'm talking to it for the first time, then it will recommend different things than if we're in negotiation, right? So, the context of this, the position in the funnel is so critical for the AI to understand what to do. So if you look at, the follow-up steps after a call, if this is the first meeting, the follow-up steps should be much different than the last meeting. So it's not really about just hearing what people said in the call and then telling what to do. There's more contextual understanding that is required to recommend the best next steps. So what a Swan is really helpful is to just digest all these points in terms of ICP, intent, stage in the funnel, and the challenges that have been addressed in the call to recommend the next best action in the appropriate CRM updates.
Wow. I love everything I'm hearing, Amos. This is great. I could talk to you for hours. I know it's late where you are, so we want to get you home and back on the road. Thank you so much for your generosity, sharing the future of business development. And it's being built in real time with Amos, posting on LinkedIn. Follow him. You can learn how to build that $30 million ARR company with just 3 founders and a bunch of AI agents. And if I am talking to Amos Bar-Joseph's AI agent right now, please thank him when he shows up for work tomorrow.
I will tell Amos. Yeah, thank you. It's his AI agent. He's going to say thank you.
Amos, you're fantastic. How can folks follow you and watch the company be built in real time?
So you can follow me on LinkedIn, Amos Bar-Joseph. That's the best place. But I also have a newsletter. It's called The Big Shift, Swan AI. So you can just take a front row seat to how we're building the first autonomous business. That also, the wins and the losses, I'll share everything there.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of your work. Love seeing what you're doing. It's the future, folks. Connect with Amos, follow his work, subscribe to his newsletter. And while you're at it, why don't you get yourself some Swan AI and boost your business development just like Amos is doing? All right, Amos, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's been fantastic having you on the show. Can't wait to have you back as you build out some more capability, because I have tons more questions for you or your AI agent.
Amazing. Can't wait to be back, Tony. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you, Amos.
Thank you for listening to the Business Development Podcast. Join our free community of corporate partners and business development professionals advancing the art, science, and ethics of the business development profession at gbdassociation.org.